If you're a first-time buyer and you're under 40, you can have a new house for 20% off the market price. The Prime Minister David Cameron travelled to Dorset today to unveil a new sort of affordable home that won't cost the taxpayer anything. It sounds like an offer so good there has to be a catch. But Mr Cameron insisted he's simply banging heads together to get the market moving. Our political editor, Peter Henley, followed his visit.
Just a standard house in Reading, on the market and sold in less than 3 days. It's a standard story in hot spots across the south.
Over the years, the average age of the first-time buyers has increased quite dramatically as they've had to save up for higher deposits as the house prices, have been rising.
So how about a 20% price drop?
I've only really been looking at old builds so far, so having this new scheme is definitely going to open up a few more doors.
Even if they did offer me 20% off market value, I would not even be able to raise a deposit. It's just impossible.
I think it should be a lot higher than 20%. Maybe 40% might help.
Affordability's the gum in the works of the South's housing market, and the Prime Minister came to pour oil into the machinery. For a 20% reduction in price, he's telling developers councils will relax planning controls on brownfield sites like this one, where there used to be a power station.
House prices are just too high here and they don't match the wages. Yet 15% of our local economy is advanced engineering. They're desperate to get good technical people here and they want to have a home.
Developers say they'll be able to cut prices because they won't have to meet regulations for green or social housing.
There is a lot of bureaucracy in place and politics in these things, and we would be able to bring this phase of the development forward very quickly.
But Labour asked why house building hasn't been got moving sooner, and housing charities agree.
Unfortunately, this is not new money. It's actually taking money away from affordable rent and giving it to first-time buyers. So what we want to see is less of these short-term initiatives and more of a long-term plan to end the housing crisis within a generation.
It seems strange, your critics say, that you're getting rid of the requirement to build affordable homes in order to build affordable homes.
Well, we're building homes that people can afford to buy, and for these starter homes, 20% cheaper than the normal market price. It helps if you take away all of the key regulations that can put up the price of houses.
There's likely to be a rush when waiting lists open in January for the first 100,000 cut-price houses. But it remains to be seen whether it's a real solution to housing problems or just another election sweetener.
Peter's here to explain a little bit more. Why are these ideas only coming out now? I mean, many will say, is it because there's an election approaching?
Indeed. You could argue it's also because it's taken a while to get the economy going. You've got to build up the demand before you can twist the developers' arms. But yes, there's more than a whiff of desperation about this. The government had hoped they'd have got the housing market moving. They'd have hoped they'd have paid off more of the debt. This scheme has the advantage of not costing the taxpayer anything because the old Section 106 payments, which used to go towards schools and doctor surgeries, those will be pushed to one side. So short-term, less money coming in. The green requirements, all what he calls regulation, but long-term, those actually are quite important.
No coincidence then that the Chancellor was here first, now the Prime Minister, both visiting election targets.
Yes, the Chancellor in Eastleigh, in fact the two seats Nick Clegg still has in the south, Eastleigh and Mid-Poole, which is where the Prime Minister was today. And in his speech at the Magna Academy talking about the economy, the Prime Minister actually talked about chaos that would be brought to the economy after the election by his opponents. He didn't just mean Labour, he meant Liberal Democrats as well, but I'm sure he's looking over his shoulder at UKIP on the south coast.
Peter, thank you very much.